Welcome back to my workshop. Now today is a very quick video. I want to answer a viewer's question. Okay, now recently I did a video on this little fella, okay, which is the Stanley Fatmax SFM CS 500D1K. Okay, that was the whole kit. Now the question is, and it was from, let's get my glasses so I can see, it was from Carp and Dre. Can you check how well the 0 degrees and 45 degree cut lines align with the blade? Okay, now, how accurate is that? Now, I did mention in my previous video, which you can see here, that this isn't really a precision tool. Okay, if you want to make precision angle cuts, you use a miter saw or you use a table saw, but it's got a gauge on it, so we need to see how accurate this is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this gauge, okay, with it up this way, and I'm going to actually measure the difference between this faceplate and the blade, and that should give us an idea of how accurate it is. So let me mount this somewhere so we can see what we're reading. Okay, before I mount this in the vise, let's just get a close look here at the gauge to give us some sort of idea of the accuracy we can expect to see. Okay, so if you look, if I get it in focus as much as possible, we've got our marker here. Okay, we've got our 0 degrees. We've got, let's undo this so we can see. We've got 0 degrees, we've got 15 degrees, 30 degrees and 45 degrees. Okay, it goes up to 50. But if you look there, the indication marks are quite large. I mean, if you compare it to something like this rule, for example, okay, it's obviously in, this is obviously in millimeters, the other thing is in degrees. You can see this is a measuring device. Okay, so the increments are very small and very clear. Okay, but if you look on this, okay, the increments are quite large, and the indicator point is quite wide. Okay, so we're not going to expect fantastic accuracy. Okay, so this would normally obviously be used on a construction site or for tearing down sheet goods. Okay, but nevertheless, we'll get this in the vise and start setting some angles. Right, so I've now got this mounted in the vise quickly. It's my little Stanley vise, okay. Before we start mucking about with this, what we need to do is obviously remove the battery so we don't chop our fingers off. Okay, so this is now safe. Right, let's mount this camera. Okay, so now the circular saw is upside down. What we're doing is we've set this at 0. Okay, this is 0 degrees. And it's actually on the end stop, so it's as 0 as it's going to be. Okay, and what we're going to do is you're going to set that at 0. We're going to put an angle gauge on the faceplate here. We're going to 0 that. Okay, and then we're going to stick it on the blade. Okay, so we'll move this out of the way, and we'll put this on the blade. Now, making sure we don't put it on any of the teeth. Okay, that's on the blade, it's flush on the blade, and it's giving us a reading of 89.9, so 90. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, so we know that that to that is 90 degrees. Okay, it's exactly what we want. Okay, let's try it at 45. Okay, that's as accurate as we can get at 45 degrees. Same again, 0 it there, and stick it on the blade. Now this should give us a reading of 45 degrees. Okay, hopefully you can see that. 45.8, so it's 0.8 of a degree out. Okay, for a construction tool, that's pretty good. Okay, now let's check the measurements in between. Okay, we'll go for the 30 degrees. Now remember, this won't give us a reading of 30 degrees. What it will give us a reading of is the difference between the 30 degrees and the 90 degrees. Okay, so what we're expecting to see is 60 degrees. Okay, that's zeroed. So we expect this to be 60 degrees. And the reading is 60.8. Okay, so from my perspective, this is quite accurate, but we do have an issue, and that's called a parallax error. Let me explain. Right, let me try and explain this as well as I can. I'm obviously holding this by hand, so it might be a bit shaky. But if you look at this now, I've got that set to dead on 45. Okay, but if I was to look at this at a very slightly different angle, okay, so I'll move it up a little bit. Okay, I'm now looking at that at a very slightly different angle. Okay, I haven't adjusted this at all. Okay, but if you look at it, it now looks like it's just below the 45. Okay, and consequently, if I look at it at a different angle again, from here, it looks like it's just above 45. Okay, that's called a parallax error. So really, its accuracy is entirely dependent on how you set it. Okay, if you're looking at it square on, you can have it bang on 45 degrees. But if you're looking down at it at a funny angle, okay, you might set that wrong. Okay, because you might think, oh, that's above the line. Okay, I'll give you another quick demonstration of how a parallax error works, just using a rule and a marker. Okay, so all I've got here is a rule suspended in my vise. Now we're looking at that. Okay, if we had a marker, the same as that we did on the circular saw, okay, we're now looking at that, and it's bang on 50 centimeters. Okay, these measurements don't matter, it's just an indication. Okay, I'm not going to move this marker now. Okay, so my marker is dead on the 50 centimeter mark. Now I'm not going to move this marker at all. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move my viewing angle. Okay, so if I just shift the camera slightly one way, now I haven't gone very far at all, and look at the amount of difference it can make. Okay, so if I was to say, oh no, I need that set at 50, okay, that's now set at 50. Now if we look back at it square, yeah, well, half a centimetre out. Now this is just to demonstrate that your viewing angle is very important, and what that's called is a parallax error. Right, I think that'll do. So I think that'll just about do it for this one. This was just to answer Carp Andre's question regarding how accurate this is. As I say, this is really a construction tool and for cutting down sheet goods. Okay, you wouldn't be using it for super accurate cuts, but as we've just proved, it's fairly accurate, but it all depends on how you set it up. Okay, if you view it at a slightly wrong angle, or if you do it in a hurry, okay, the chances are you might get it a couple of degrees out anyway. Okay, so your error will probably be more than the tool's error. Okay, hopefully that answers your question. And this was the Stanley Fatmax kit that I got a previous video on. If you're interested in that, give it a quick look. Other than that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Okay, so viewing it from a slightly wrong angle can make them. Right, so I think they're about. You can't see. Let's put it here. It was from. Obviously, the first thing you're going to do is disconnect the battery because that's a bit wobbly. Zero that if we can. Come on, 0, 0. Ah, come on.